Korean mafia boss dumped his fiancée in public and chose her. The reason shocked everyone. The ballroom went silent in sections. First the string quartet, then the waitstaff froze in mid-pour, then the 200 guests who turned like synchronized machinery toward the center of the room. Kang Minyu stood in the middle of it all, one hand loosely holding a champagne flute, the other resting at his side. The tattoo on the side of his neck, a thin, coiled serpent, caught the chandelier light as he turned his head slightly toward the woman in the white gown. His fiancée, Yoon Sira. She was trembling, not visibly to most people, but her fingers, wrapped too tightly around the diamond bracelet on her wrist, gave her away. "You're embarrassing yourself," Minyu said. His voice was low, steady, and somehow louder than the silence. Sira's mouth opened, closed. Her makeup was flawless, her posture perfect, but her eyes wide, wet, desperate, betrayed everything. "Minyu, please," she whispered, "not here." He didn't move closer, didn't soften. He simply set the champagne flute down on the nearest table, the clink of glass against marble audible across the room. "I'm ending this," he said. Sira's breath hitched. She glanced around at the faces, the phones already rising, the whispers starting to spread like infection. "You can't," her voice cracked. "We're supposed to." "We're not." He turned then, and that's when people saw her. The woman standing near the terrace doors. She wasn't in white. She wasn't adorned in diamonds or silk. She wore a deep red dress, simple, elegant, and her dark curls framed a face that wasn't trying to perform shock or modesty. She just stood there, hands loose at her sides, watching Minyu with an expression that was impossible to read. Calm, maybe too calm. Minyu walked toward her. Each step he took drained the color from Sira's face. When he stopped in front of the woman in red, he didn't touch her, didn't smile. He just looked at her and she looked back. "You ready?" he asked. She hesitated, not out of fear, out of calculation. "You sure about this?" she replied quietly. "I've never been more sure of anything." Behind them, Sira's voice broke into something raw and jagged. "You're choosing her." Minyu didn't turn around. The woman in red tilted her head slightly, studying him. Then she nodded once. Minyu's hand moved to the small of her back, firm, possessive, deliberate, and he guided her toward the exit. The crowd parted. No one spoke. No one stopped them. Sira collapsed into a chair, shaking, her hands covering her face as her mother rushed to her side. And just before Minyu and the woman in red disappeared through the gilded doors, someone in the crowd whispered the question everyone was thinking. "Why her?" "First time here, you're already in, stay close. The next story's already in motion." 17 days earlier. Naomi Carter didn't believe in fate. She believed in work, in showing up, in knowing when to speak and when to disappear into the background and let people underestimate her. She'd been in Seoul for 3 months, managing logistics for a luxury hotel group that catered to clients who didn't ask questions and paid in advance. The kind of clients who needed entire floors reserved under fake names, who required cars with tinted windows and drivers who knew when to forget a face. Naomi wasn't naive. She knew what kind of world she was orbiting. But she also knew her job wasn't to judge. It was to execute, to make things run smoothly, to be so competent that people forgot she was even there. That's why she noticed him before he noticed her. Kang Minyu walked into the hotel lobby at 11 on a Tuesday night, flanked by 2 men in dark suits. He moved like someone who didn't need to announce himself. The staff straightened. The concierge's smile went tight. The security guard by the elevator shifted his weight. Naomi was standing near the front desk, reviewing a delivery manifest on her tablet. She glanced up, took in the scene, and went back to her screen. "Ms. Carter." She looked up. The concierge was pale. "Yes." "Mr. Kang's suite. There's an issue with the temperature control. He's requesting someone handle it immediately." Naomi set the tablet down. I'll go. Are you sure I can send? I'll go. She took the service elevator up to the 18th floor, carrying a toolkit she didn't actually need. The temperature control wasn't broken. She'd checked the system an hour ago. But she'd learned that when powerful men said something was wrong, what they really meant was they wanted to see who would show up. The suite door was already open when she arrived. She knocked twice on the frame and stepped inside. The suite was dark except for the city lights bleeding through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Minyu stood with his back to her, phone pressed to his ear, speaking rapid Korean in a voice that was both calm and cutting. Naomi waited. He finished the call, pocketed the phone, and turned. "You're not maintenance," he said in English. "No, I'm the one who makes sure maintenance does their job." She held up the toolkit. "But I can check the system if you'd like." He studied her, not the way men usually did. There was no performance in it, no smile, just evaluation. "You're American." "I am." "You work for the hotel." "Logistics and client services." "Meaning you handle problems." "I handle details. Problems are just details people ignore until they get expensive." Something shifted in his expression. Not quite a smile, more like recognition. "The system's fine," he said. "I know." He tilted his head slightly. "Then why are you here?" "Because you asked for someone. And you came." "That's my job." He walked closer, stopping a few feet away. Close enough that she could see the edge of the tattoo curling up from beneath his collar. Close enough that most people would step back. Naomi didn't. "What's your name?" he asked. "Naomi Carter." "Naomi," he tested the shape of it, "you know who I am." "I know you're a client. That's all I need to know." "Smart answer." "It's the only answer." He smiled then, barely, a ghost of something that didn't reach his eyes. "I'm going to need someone I can rely on," he said. "For an event in 2 weeks, high profile, a lot of moving parts, people who can't afford mistakes. I'll need details." "You'll get them, but I need to know you won't talk." "I've never talked." "You've never worked for me." Naomi set the toolkit down on the table between them. "Mr. Kang, I've coordinated events for people who make you look like a church volunteer. If I talked, I'd already be dead. So let's skip the posturing and get to the part where you tell me what you actually need." The silence that followed was sharp. Then Minyu laughed, once, low and genuine. "I like you," he said. "You don't know me." "No, but I'm going to." The event was an engagement party. Naomi learned this 3 days later when the details arrived via encrypted message. Venue, the Grand Joseon Ballroom. Guest list, 200. Dress code, black tie. Security, private, vetted, armed. Fiancée, Yoon Sira. Naomi looked up the name. Sira was the daughter of a man who owned half the luxury real estate in Gangnam and had political connections that stretched into the Blue House. Beautiful, educated in Switzerland, poised in every photograph. And clearly a strategic alliance. Naomi didn't judge. She'd seen enough arranged power moves to recognize one. But something about the way Minyu's message was worded, clinical, detached, like he was describing a business acquisition, made her pause. She didn't let herself think about it too long. The planning meetings happened in his office, not the hotel, a sleek, glass-walled space in a building that didn't advertise what happened inside. Naomi showed up on time, every time, with printed schedules and contingency plans for things most people wouldn't think to worry about. Minyu noticed. "You plan for violence," he said once, scanning her security routing document. "I plan for reality." "Most people don't." "Most people don't work for clients like you." He looked at her then, longer than necessary. "You're not afraid of me." "Should I be?" "Most people are." I'm not most people. He leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled, watching her with that same unreadable expression. Why'd you come to Seoul? Work opportunity. That's not an answer. It's the one you're getting. His mouth curved, not quite a smile. You don't give much away. Neither do you. I'm a very private person. I've noticed. And yet you're still here. You're paying me to be here. Is that the only reason? Naomi closed her folder and met his eyes. Mr. Kang, I don't mix business with anything else, ever, so if you're testing me, you can stop. I'm here to do a job, that's it. He didn't look offended. If anything, he looked pleased. Good, he said. I don't trust people who want things from me. Then we understand each other. We're starting to. Sierra arrived unannounced to one of the meetings. Naomi was reviewing floral arrangements when the door opened, and a woman in a cream-colored suit walked in, heels clicking against marble. She was even more striking in person, elegant, controlled, and the way she looked at Naomi, polite, distant, assessing, made it clear she'd already decided Naomi wasn't a threat. You must be the event coordinator, Sierra said in perfect English, extending a hand. Naomi shook it. Naomi Carter. Yoon Sierra, I'm the bride. Congratulations. Sierra's smile was practiced. Thank you. I wanted to make sure everything is being handled properly. This is a very important event for both our families. I understand. Everything's on schedule. Good, I'd hate for anything to go wrong. Her eyes flicked toward Minu's office door. Is he in? Yes. Sierra didn't wait for an invitation. She walked past Naomi and into Minu's office, closing the door behind her. Naomi went back to her checklist. But through the glass walls she could see them. Sierra speaking, animated, gesturing. Minu sitting, still, listening with an expression that gave nothing away. And then Sierra leaned down, kissed his cheek and walked out. She paused by Naomi's table on her way to the elevator. He's a very particular man, Sierra said quietly. Naomi looked up. I've noticed. I hope you're as competent as he says you are. I am. Sierra's smile didn't reach her eyes. Good, because if anything goes wrong at this party, it won't just be your job on the line. Naomi held her gaze. Nothing will go wrong. Sierra tilted her head slightly, as if reconsidering her initial assessment. Then she left. Minu appeared in the doorway a moment later. She likes to make sure people know their place, he said. I noticed. Did she scare you? No. Good, she'd enjoy that. Naomi packed up her folders. Is she always like that? Like what? Territorial. Minu's expression flickered, just for a second. She has a lot to protect. So do you. Yes, but I don't pretend it's about love. Naomi stopped. Then what is it about? He looked at her for a long moment. Survival. The shift happened slowly. Or maybe it had been happening all along, and Naomi just hadn't let herself see it. Minu started asking her to stay after meetings, not for work, just to talk, about Seoul, about her life before, about the things she'd seen working for people who lived in the shadows. She kept her answers vague, professional, but he was patient and perceptive. You don't trust easily, he said one night. They were alone in his office. The city glittered below them, endless and cold. No, Naomi admitted, I don't. Why? Because trust is expensive, and I've seen what happens when people spend it on the wrong person. He nodded slowly. So have I. Is that why you're marrying someone you don't love? The question came out before she could stop it. Minu didn't flinch. Yes. Does she know? She's smart enough to know. Whether she admits it is another question. That's cruel. It's practical. It's still cruel. He looked at her then, something shifting behind his eyes. You think I should marry for love? I think you should marry someone you actually want to be married to. And if that's not an option, then don't get married. It's not that simple. It never is, but that doesn't mean you have to make it worse. He stood, walking to the window, hands in his pockets. His reflection overlaid the city lights, ghostly and distant. My family's business requires alliances, he said quietly. Sierra's family controls resources I need. Her father has political protection I can't buy. If I don't marry her, people die. My people. Naomi stood as well but didn't move closer. So you're sacrificing yourself. I'm making a choice. There's always another choice. Not in my world. Then maybe your world is the problem. He turned, and for the first time she saw something raw in his expression. Not anger, something deeper. You don't understand what it's like, he said, to have people depending on you, to know that one wrong move costs lives. You're right, I don't, but I do know what it's like to lie to yourself about why you're doing something. I'm not lying. Then why do you look so miserable? The silence stretched between them, taut and fragile. Then his phone buzzed. He glanced at it and the moment shattered. I have to go, he said, his voice back to neutral. Naomi nodded. She gathered her things and headed for the door. Naomi. She stopped, turned. Thank you, he said. For what? For being honest. She didn't know what to say to that, so she just left. 3 days before the engagement party, Sierra showed up at Naomi's apartment. Naomi opened the door to find her standing in the hallway, dressed in black jeans and a silk blouse, no makeup, hair loose. She looked younger, less armored. How did you get my address? Naomi asked. I have resources. Sierra's smile was thin. Can I come in? Every instinct told Naomi to say no, but curiosity won. She stepped aside. Sierra walked in slowly, taking in the small space, neat, functional, impersonal. You don't decorate much, she observed. I don't plan to stay long. Smart, Sierra turned to face her. I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest. Okay. Are you sleeping with him? Naomi blinked. No. But you want to. That's not. I'm not judging. Sierra's voice was calm, almost kind. I just need to know. Naomi crossed her arms. Why? Because I need to understand what I'm dealing with. You're dealing with someone who's planning your engagement party. That's it. Sierra laughed softly. You're a terrible liar. I'm not lying. Maybe not about sleeping with him, but you feel something. I can see it. Naomi's jaw tightened. It doesn't matter what I feel. He's marrying you. Yes, he is. Sierra's expression hardened. And I need that to happen. Do you understand? I need it. Why? Because my father made promises to people who don't forgive broken promises. Because if this marriage doesn't happen, my family loses everything. Because I don't have a choice. The desperation in her voice was real. Naomi softened slightly. Then we want the same thing. The party goes smoothly. You get married. Everyone moves on. Do we want the same thing? Sierra stepped closer. Because I think you want him to choose you. He won't. No, he won't. Sierra's eyes glistened. But that doesn't stop you from hopping. Naomi didn't respond. Sierra walked to the door, then paused. Stay away from him after the party, please, for both our sakes. I was planning to. Sierra looked back, searching Naomi's face for the lie. She didn't find one. Good, she whispered. And then she was gone. The night before the engagement party, Minyu called Naomi. Meet me, he said. 1 hour, I'll send a car. Why? Because I need to talk to you, and I'd rather do it in person. The car took her to a private restaurant in Itaewon, closed to the public. Just Minyu sitting alone at a table near the window, a bottle of soju and 2 glasses in front of him. Naomi sat across from him. This isn't appropriate, she said. I know. Then why am I here? He poured her a glass, then one for himself. Because tomorrow everything changes, and I needed to see you one more time like this. Mean you? Let me finish. He took a breath. I haven't been honest with you. About what? About why I asked you to plan this event. Naomi's pulse quickened. I assumed it was because I'm good at my job. You are, but that's not why. He looked at her directly. I asked you because I wanted a reason to keep seeing you. The air went still. You're getting married tomorrow, Naomi said quietly. I know. So what are you doing? I don't know. His voice cracked just slightly. I just know that every time I'm near you, I feel something I haven't felt in years, something real. Menu, you can't. I'm not asking you for anything. I just needed you to know, before tomorrow, before I lock myself into a life where I'll never be able to say it again. Naomi's throat tightened. She wanted to stand up, to leave, to protect herself from whatever this was. But she didn't. What do you want me to say? She whispered. Nothing, just stay for a few more minutes. Let me pretend this isn't the last time. So she stayed. They drank in silence, and when the bottle was empty, she stood to leave. Naomi. She turned. If I could choose differently. But you can't. No, I can't. She left without another word. The engagement party began exactly as planned. Guests arrived in waves. The ballroom glowed with soft gold light and white roses. Sierra looked like a painting in her gown, and Minu stood beside her, impeccable and distant. Naomi managed everything from the shadows, checked the sound system, confirmed the champagne count, made sure security was positioned correctly. She didn't let herself look at him. But then, 2 hours into the event, Minu's head of security found her. Ms. Carter, Mr. Kang needs to see you, now. She followed him to a private room off the main hall. Minu was inside, packing, his jacket discarded, sleeves rolled up. What's wrong? Naomi asked. He stopped packing, looked at her. I can't do this. Can't do what? This, marry her, pretend. I thought I could, but I can't. Naomi's stomach dropped. Minu, you're about to go back out there and make a toast. Everyone's waiting. I don't care. You have to care. People are depending on you. You said it yourself. I know what I said. His voice was raw. But I was wrong. I thought I could sacrifice this part of myself. But I can't. Not when I know what it feels like to actually want someone. You barely know me. I know enough. No, you don't. You're in love with an idea, with the possibility of something different, but that's not real. It feels real. Feelings aren't enough. He moved closer. Then what is? Choice, commitment, time, things you can't give me because you're about to marry someone else. Then tell me to stop. What? Tell me not to go through with it. Tell me to walk away. Give me a reason. Naomi's breath caught. She could feel the weight of the moment, how easy it would be to say yes, to let him blow up his life for her. But she thought of Sierra's face in her apartment, the desperation, the fear. She thought of the 100 ways this could go wrong. I can't, she whispered. Why not? Because you'd regret it, because people would get hurt, because I won't be the reason your world falls apart. You already are. Then I'm sorry, but I'm not going to tell you to ruin your life for me. He stared at her, and she could see the exact moment he broke. Okay, he said softly, okay. He straightened his tie, put his jacket back on, became the man everyone expected him to be. I'll see you out there, he said. Naomi nodded. She left the room and went back to work. 30 minutes later, the ballroom went silent. And Minu made his choice. The aftermath was immediate and brutal. The video spread within minutes, Minu walking away from Sierra, the look on Naomi's face, the two of them leaving together. By the time Naomi got back to her apartment, her phone was vibrating off the table. Unknown numbers, messages in Korean and English, threats, offers from tabloids, warnings. She turned the phone off. Then she sat in the dark and tried to understand what had just happened. Minyu had chosen her, in front of everyone, despite everything she'd said. And now they were both going to pay for it. The knock came at 3 in the morning. Naomi opened the door to find Minyu standing there, still in his suit, tie gone, looking like he'd aged a decade in a few hours. "I need to explain," he said. She let him in. He didn't sit, just stood in the middle of her living room, hands in his pockets, staring at the floor. "That wasn't supposed to happen like that," he said. "Then how was it supposed to happen?" "I don't know, more privately, less destructive." "Minyu, what you did tonight people saw. Sierra's family, your people, everyone. You humiliated her." "I know. So why did you do it?" He finally looked at her. "Because she told me something, right before I was supposed to make the toast." Naomi's stomach tightened. "What?" "She told me she'd been having me followed for weeks, that she knew I'd been meeting with you, that she knew how I felt." "Okay, so she was jealous, that's not." "She wasn't jealous." His voice was cold now. "She was calculating. She said if I went through with the marriage, she'd make sure you disappeared." The room went very still. "What do you mean, disappeared?" Naomi asked slowly. "She didn't specify, she didn't have to." He met her eyes. "Sierra's family doesn't make idle threats. If I married her, you'd be a loose end, and loose ends get cut." Naomi's breath caught. "You're saying she would have killed me?" "Yes." "So you, what, sacrificed your entire alliance to protect me?" "No." He stepped closer. "I chose you because I finally realized that no alliance is worth becoming someone I hate. And marrying her, marrying someone who would threaten an innocent person to control me, would have made me exactly the kind of monster I've spent my life trying not to become." Naomi sank onto the couch. "You should have told me before. I could have left Seoul, disappeared on my own. She would have found you." "So what now? You think she's just going to accept this?" Minyu's expression darkened. "No, she's going to come for both of us, but at least now I can protect you." "I didn't ask you to protect me." "I know, but I'm going to anyway." Naomi looked up at him, and for the first time, she let herself feel the full weight of what he'd done. He'd burned his life down for her. "I didn't want this," she whispered. "I know. I told you not to." "I know. So why did you?" He crouched in front of her, close enough that she could see the exhaustion in his eyes. "Because for the first time in my life I met someone who made me want to be better, not stronger, not richer, not more powerful, just better." He paused. "And I realized that if I let her threaten you and did nothing, I'd lose the only part of myself worth keeping." Naomi's eyes burned. "That's not fair." "I know. You can't put that on me." "I'm not. This is my choice, my consequence." He stood. "But I need you to understand something. I didn't do this because I thought you'd fall into my arms. I did it because it was the only choice I could live with." Naomi wiped her eyes. "Where does that leave us?" "I don't know, but I need to keep you safe until Sierra's family accepts that this is over, and that might take time." "How much time?" "Weeks, maybe months." "I can't hide for months." "You won't have to hide, but you'll need to stay close, to me, to my people." Naomi laughed bitterly. "So I'm a prisoner now?" "No, you're someone I care about who's in danger because of me. There's a difference." She wanted to argue, to tell him this was insane, to walk away. But she'd seen enough of this world to know he was right. Sierra's family wouldn't just let this go. "Okay," she said finally, "but we're doing this my way. I'm not some helpless victim. If I'm going to be part of this, I need to know everything. every move, every plan, every threat. Minyu nodded, deal. And when this is over, when I'm safe, I'm leaving Seoul. I'm going back to the States, and you're not going to stop me. Something flickered in his expression, pain maybe, or acceptance. Okay, he said quietly. She stood, walked to the window, looked out at the city. I need you to leave now, she said. I need to think. Naomi. Please. He hesitated, then nodded. He walked to the door, paused with his hand on the handle. For what it's worth, he said, I meant what I said. You made me want to be better, and even if this all falls apart, I won't regret that. Then he left. Naomi stood alone in the dark, trying to decide if she believed him. The first real threat came 3 days later. Naomi was staying in a secure apartment Minyu owned, small, anonymous, with 2 guards posted outside. She hated it, hated the walls closing in, hated feeling dependent. But she wasn't stupid. She'd seen the messages, the photos someone had sent to Minyu's phone, pictures of her apartment building, her usual coffee shop, the hotel where she used to work. The message was clear, we know where you are. Minyu had his people tracking the source, but Sira's family was careful, professional. They were playing a longer game. They're waiting for you to make a mistake, Minyu said during one of his evening check-ins, to go somewhere without security, to let your guard down. So I'm supposed to just sit here forever. No, but you need to be smart. I'm always smart. I know, that's why you're still alive. The bluntness of it stung. Is this what your life is always like? Naomi asked, looking over your shoulder, waiting for someone to make a move. Yes. How do you stand it? You get used to it or you don't, and if you don't, you die. She looked at him, really looked at him, and saw the exhaustion carved into his face, the weight he carried, the violence he'd seen. I don't want this life, she said quietly. I know, that's why I'm going to end this, so you can leave. And what about you? I'll be fine. Will you? He didn't answer. The break came from an unexpected source. One of Sira's cousins, a man named Park Jin-ho who'd always been on the periphery of the family business, reached out through a back channel. He wanted to meet, alone, just him and Minyu. Minyu was suspicious, but Jin-ho had something Minyu needed, information. They met in a parking garage in Gangnam, 2 cars parked facing each other, headlights cutting through the dark. Jin-ho got out first, hands visible, no weapon. Minyu followed. You have 30 seconds, Minyu said. Jin-ho spoke quickly. Sira's planning something. I don't know all the details, but I know it involves the woman, Naomi. Tell me something I don't know. She hired someone, not family, an outsider, someone with no connections to us. He's supposed to make it look like an accident. Minyu's blood went cold. When? Soon, maybe days, she's desperate. Her father's furious. The engagement falling apart has cost them alliances. She needs to prove she's still in control. Why are you telling me this? Jin-ho hesitated. Because I'm tired of watching my family destroy people, and because you've always been fair to me. I owe you that much. Minyu studied him. If you're lying. I'm not, but I need something in return. What? When this is over, I want out. I want your help getting out of the family business. A clean break, new identity, whatever it takes. Minyu nodded slowly. Done, but I need a name. Who'd she hire? Jin-ho pulled out a phone, showed him a photo. Minyu memorized the face. Thank you, he said. Jin-ho nodded and got back in his car. Minyu called his security team before Jin-ho's taillights disappeared. Find him, he said, and bring him to me alive. They found the man 12 hours later in a motel in Incheon. He resisted, broke one guard's nose, tried to run. But Minyu's people were thorough. They brought him to a warehouse on the outskirts of the city, empty, cold, concrete floors stained with rust and time. Minyu was waiting. "I'm going to ask you one question," Minyu said, "and depending on your answer, you'll either leave here with money or in pieces. Do you understand?" The man spat blood. "She hired me to kill the American, that's all I know." "When?" "Tomorrow night. She'll be moved to a different safe house. I was supposed to hit the transport." Minyu's jaw tightened. "Who else knows the route?" "Just Sira and her father's security chief." "Then we have a leak." The man laughed bitterly. "You think your own people sold you out, boss?" Minyu didn't react. He just nodded to his guards. "Pay him, then make sure he's on a plane out of the country within the hour. If he ever comes back to Korea, kill him." The man blinked, surprised. "That's it?" "That's it. You're a professional, I respect that. But if I see you again, respect won't save you." The guards dragged him out. Minyu pulled out his phone and called his head of security. "We have a problem," he said. "Someone on the inside is feeding information to Sira. I need you to audit every person who knows about Naomi's location. Cross-reference communications. Find the leak." "Understood." "And move her. Tonight, don't tell anyone where, not even me." "Sir." "Do it." He hung up. Then he sat alone in the warehouse, staring at the bloodstain on the floor, and realized how close he'd come to losing her. Naomi was moved to a house in the countryside, isolated, quiet, 2 guards both personally vetted by Minyu's oldest friend. She didn't know about the attempt on her life. Minyu didn't tell her. But she could sense something had changed, the way he looked at her when he visited, the tension in his shoulders. "What happened?" she asked one evening. They were sitting on the porch, watching the sunset bleed into the hills. "We found the person Sira hired," Minyu said. Naomi's breath caught. "To do what?" He didn't answer immediately. "To kill me," she finished. "Yes." She closed her eyes. "When?" "It doesn't matter, it's handled." "Minyu." "It's handled, Naomi, you're safe." She turned to look at him. "For how long?" "As long as it takes." "That's not an answer." "It's the only one I have." She stood, walked to the edge of the porch, gripped the railing. "I hate this," she said. "I hate feeling like I'm waiting for someone to decide whether I live or die." "I know. I hate that you put yourself in this position, for me. I'd do it again." She spun around. "Why? Why are you so determined to destroy yourself for someone you barely know?" "Because you're the first person in 10 years who made me feel like I wasn't already destroyed." The rawness in his voice broke something in her. She crossed the space between them, and for the first time she let herself touch him, her hand against his cheek, gentle, deliberate. "I'm not a hero, Minyu. I'm not going to save you." "I don't need saving. I just need you to be alive." "That's not enough." "It is for me." She kissed him then, not because she wanted to, but because she needed to know what it felt like, to let herself have one moment that wasn't about survival or strategy or fear. He kissed her back, careful, like she was something fragile. When they pulled apart, she rested her forehead against his. "This doesn't change anything," she whispered. "I know. When this is over, I'm still leaving." "I know." "Then why does this feel like goodbye?" "Because it is." She closed her eyes. They stood there until the sun disappeared and the stars came out, and neither of them said another word. The final confrontation came from an unlikely place. Sira requested a meeting, with Naomi alone. Minyu refused immediately. "Absolutely not." But Naomi surprised him. "I'll do it." "No." "Minyu, this can't end unless someone talks to her, and it can't be you. It has to be me. She tried to have you killed." "I know, but maybe if I face her, if I show her I'm not afraid, she'll realize there's no point in continuing this." or she'll kill you herself. She won't, not in public, not where people can see. Minyu stared at her. You're sure about this? No, but I'm doing it anyway. He didn't like it, but he understood the logic. They arranged the meeting at a cafe in Itaewon. Public, cameras, Minyu's people watching from a distance. Sira arrived exactly on time, dressed in black, sunglasses hiding her eyes. She sat across from Naomi without a word. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then Sira removed her sunglasses, and Naomi saw the exhaustion in her face, the defeat. You won, Sira said quietly. I didn't want to win. Doesn't matter, you did. Sira's voice was flat. He chose you in front of everyone. Do you know what that did to me, to my family? I do, and I'm sorry, but I didn't ask him to. No, but you didn't stop him either. I tried. Sira laughed bitterly, not hard enough. Naomi leaned forward. What do you want from me, Sira? An apology? I'll give you one. You want me to disappear? I'm already planning to. What do you want? Sira's eyes glistened. I want you to understand what you took from me. I want you to feel even a fraction of the humiliation, the loss, the fear. I do understand, but that doesn't mean I'm going to let you kill me for it. Sira flinched. I'm not going to kill you. You hired someone. I was desperate and angry, but I called it off. Naomi blinked. What? I called it off, before he could do anything, because I realized. She looked away. I realized that killing you wouldn't bring him back. It would just prove I was exactly the kind of person he was right to leave. Naomi didn't know what to say. Sira wiped her eyes. I'm leaving Seoul. My father's sending me to Europe, family business. It's a convenient excuse for everyone. She looked at Naomi. You're safe, from me at least. I don't know about the rest of them, but from me you're safe. Why are you telling me this? Because I need you to know I'm not a monster. I'm just someone who lost something I thought I needed to survive. And I handled it badly. She stood. Take care of him, or don't. I don't care anymore. But know that he gave up everything for you. Don't waste it. She walked away, leaving her sunglasses on the table. Naomi sat there, stunned, until Minyu appeared beside her. What did she say? He asked. She called it off. The hit, she's leaving Seoul. Minyu processed this. Do you believe her? Yes. Why? Because she looked like someone who'd already lost everything. And people like that don't have the energy to keep fighting. Minyu sat down slowly. So it's over. For now. For now, he echoed. They sat in silence, watching the city move around them. I'm still leaving, Naomi said eventually. I know. In 2 weeks, I've already booked the flight. Okay. She turned to him. You could come with me. He looked at her, and she saw the answer in his eyes before he spoke. No, I can't. Why not? Because my life is here. My people, my responsibilities, I can't just walk away. Even for this, for us. There is no us, Naomi. Not in the way you're asking, we both know that. She wanted to argue, to tell him he was wrong, but deep down she knew he wasn't. They'd had a moment, a beautiful, terrible moment, but moments don't build lives. Then what was this all for? She asked. For me, it was proof that I could still make one choice that wasn't about survival or strategy, that I could still choose something good even if I couldn't keep it. He reached across the table, took her hand. And for you. I hope it was proof that you're worth someone burning their life down for, even if you don't stay. Tears slipped down her cheeks. I'm going to miss you. I'm going to miss you too. Will you be okay? Eventually. Promise. He smiled, sad, real, promise. 2 weeks later, Naomi stood in Incheon International Airport, suitcase at her side, boarding pass in hand. Minyu had offered to come, to see her off. She'd told him no. Some goodbyes were better left private. But as she walked toward security, She felt her phone buzz. A message from him. Thank you for showing me I could still feel something real. Safe travels, Naomi Carter. She typed a response. Thank you for choosing yourself, even if it meant losing everything else. You're braver than you think. She sent it, then turned off her phone and walked through the gate without looking back. 6 months later, Naomi was sitting in a coffee shop in Atlanta when her phone buzzed with a news alert. Korean business heir Kang Min-yu steps down from family enterprise, announces charity initiative for at-risk youth. She clicked the article, read about how he'd restructured his entire operation, shifted focus from underground dealings to legitimate business and social work. It wasn't a redemption arc, it was a pivot, a choice. She smiled. Then she closed the article and went back to her coffee. Some stories don't end with people together, they end with people better. And maybe that was enough. Would you walk away from someone who chose you over everything? Or would you stay and see if love could survive the wreckage they created for you?